Hope you guys are ready for some theater of the mind, because here's my fight scene between Superman and Doomsday from my DC Cinematic Universe. Superman and Superboy are in the Fortress of Solitude talking to the Drell AI on possible contingencies to take this guy down. But then they receive a priority alert that a giant beast has been seen attacking Metropolis. Just before they leave the fortress, Superman tells the Drell AI, send a priority alert to the Justice League, let them know everything, and tell them, do not get involved until it looks like they need to. Then boom, Superman and Superboy take off racing to Metropolis. Superboy asks Superman, why not call in the Justice League? And Superman says, if this thing is supposed to be a stronger version of me, then I'm not sure they have what it takes to take it down. They arrive on the scene in mere seconds, but it is already chaos. Buildings are already part destroyed, cars are overturned, fires have burst out, and this beast is raging and destroying things. Superman lands down in front of this beast and tries to talk to it. B-Zero, if you are still in there, please listen. You are hurting innocent civilians, but that is not your fault. Your mental faculties are deteriorating. If you can just stop for a second, we can take you to the Fortress of Solitude, and maybe we can get something to help you. But as Doomsday's head tilts and focuses on the S on Superman's chest, it lets out a terrifying roar that's half Hulk and half the Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park. And Superman tells Superboy, you're on collateral damage duty. If you see a civilian about to get hurt, get them out of there immediately. No matter how bad it looks, do not try to help me. Your job is getting people to safety. And then Superman and Doomsday leap at each other. Superman manages to dodge the first hit and get a firm punch on Doomsday's jaw, sending the beast flying blocks backwards. As the beast is still flying through the air, Superman speed blitzes to the end and hits Doomsday, sending him down into the ground. As the beast hits the ground and forms a crater, Superman bolts down and rips a fire hydrant out of the ground and redirects its spray with his hand, and then he lets out a blast of freeze breath, freezing the beast in place. He comments, that's not gonna last long, and before the sentence is even completed, Doomsday breaks out of the ice and leaps at Superman, grabbing him by the head and throwing him into the ground. We then get a scene very similar to Hulk throwing Loki around, except it's Doomsday throwing Superman around by the head, and then he throws him into a building, but Superman manages to stop himself before he hits the building. Doomsday leaps at Superman again, and Superman is forced to take the hit to protect the building full of people behind him. Doomsday punches Superman square in the chest, and his bone-like claws carve into Clark's chest. Clark screams in pain and punches this guy up into the air once again. Doomsday's flight hasn't kicked in yet, so Superman figures if he can keep this battle airborne, he has the advantage. Superman begins speed blitzing him, hitting him from all different directions, flying away and zipping back and just sending Doomsday flying like a ping pong ball. But then Doomsday catches Superman's fist and starts to retaliate. His super speed has caught up to Superman's. Holding on to one of Superman's arms, Doomsday uses his other arm to rapid bullet punch Superman in the face and chest repeatedly. As Doomsday is punching Superman repeatedly in the face, Superman tries his last-ditch effort that Jor-El warned him about, lobotomizing Doomsday. He activates his heat vision and begins driving into Doomsday's skull, but then Doomsday rears back and delivers a blow directly to Kal-El's eyes, gouging his eyes out with two of these finger spikes. Superman screams out in pain and punches Doomsday away just before plummeting into the ground, creating a huge crater in the city streets. As Superman tries to stand up, we see his super healing already working on his chest, and now his eyes begin to heal, but we get a cool point of view shot where Superman is cycling through all of his different types of vision to see if with his eyes this messed up, any of them can work instead. So we just get rapid flashes of X-ray vision, heat vision, other types of vision, I don't fucking know. And we see this thing running towards him while he does that. And just as it rears back to punch Superman, Superman spots something over Doomsday's shoulder. The moon. And Superman takes off, punching Doomsday in the chest with both of his fists and forcing them up into the sky, flying to the moon. As the duo fight each other mid-air, Superman forces the fight into space, and all sound drops out from the fight, and now only the soundtrack remains. They plummet into the moon and start fighting there as an homage to the fight scene against Nuclear Man. The two titans trade blows, and every single time one of their fists makes contact with the other one or the ground, there'd be a big bass hit. So if you're watching it at home, you physically feel the fight happening. The two trade blows, but Doomsday once again gets the upper hand, grabbing Clark by the leg and slamming him into the ground of the moon. He then stands over him and delivers a two-handed smash right down onto Superman's chest. And then the camera cuts back to Earth, and we see the moon, and we see a giant crater form on it, that for the rest of my DC cinematic universe, a brand new massive crater would permanently exist on the moon from this fight. And as Doomsday continues to pummel Kal-El into the ground of the moon, Doomsday realizes he's not done there. He wants this fight back on Earth. He wants to continue attacking Earth. And so he grabs Superman and throws him to Earth and then leaps after him. They get caught in Earth's atmosphere and they begin to burn up on re-entry, and Doomsday is on top of Superman, repeatedly punching him in the face, the chest, just endlessly. Bam, 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 bam. Huge cuts are instantaneously getting gouged in and then healing on Superman as this goes towards the planet. As the beating is happening, Superman looks down and sees the approaching surface of the Earth, and he knows what he has to do. He grabs Doomsday by the throat, and he begins flying both of them towards the Earth, increasing their momentum. Doomsday has no idea what's going on, so he just keeps punching Clark, and Clark keeps tanking the hits. And then just before they hit the ground, Superman rapidly spins them around and pries Doomsday's neck at a weird angle, so when they hit the ground, the full force of Superman flying into Doomsday and the Earth hitting them back snaps Doomsday's neck, killing him. But Superman is impaled by one of Doomsday's shoulder spikes. Doomsday falls dead. While he does have super healing, it had not kicked in far enough to heal him back from that attack. Superman pulls himself off of Doomsday's shoulder, revealing that the spike went directly through his heart. Superman looks up just in time to see Superboy finishing getting another person out of the way from this attack. Superboy nods to Superman to let him know that no one was hurt during this. Collateral damage was caused, but no lives were taken. Superman smiles and falls down dead. Superboy rushes towards the man who has become like an older brother to him throughout the run of this film, and Superboy starts to cry at this loss. News crews and civilians start gathering around, and as more people realize what happened, we see random civilians begin to cry as well. And the big reveal that Superman is dead to the audience is done in a way where Superboy picks up Superman, and it's a recreation of that famous shot from Crisis on Infinite Earths of Superman holding the dead Supergirl, but in this case, it's Superboy holding the dead Superman. But Superboy refuses to accept this. He had just decided to become a hero. He had just been welcomed into the House of El. He had just reconciled that Lex Luthor, his other biological father, cares nothing about him. And so Superboy tries to fly. Up until this point in the movie, Superboy has been unable to fly, but he steals his resolve and jumps into the air holding the body of his brother, just making it over the top of one of the skyscrapers of Metropolis and plummets back down. He jumps again, this time higher, 2, 3 more times, and finally he takes off and he doesn't stop. Superboy flies into space, heading to the sun. Once again, regular sound cuts out and the soundtrack takes over completely as we get a montage of Superboy flying to the sun. Superboy cannot go anywhere near light speed, so this journey takes nearly an hour. And finally, once they get there, Superboy lets go of Superman and lets his body drift into the sun. As Superman's body passes the event horizon of the sun, entering its plasma field, Superboy begins to cry. His tears well up and start floating away in zero gravity of space before instantaneously evaporating due to the heat of the sun. And as Superboy is crying, suddenly a shadow is cast over him. Superboy opens his eyes, and floating in front of him in the void of space is a resurrected Superman. Superman looks at his brother, proud of him, that not only did he fly, but he got him to the sun. He reaches out, grabs his brother, and the two of them share a hug. And then they turn back to Earth to deal with the man who created Doomsday, Lex Luthor.